Okay, so hear me out. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. My dad would be so proud of me. If my dad was here, he'd be the first one I'd be running to and saying, Daddy, I have an idea. And then him and my mum would be the first ones. They'd get the best seats in the house. So, obviously we're going to have our theatre and we're going to do productions, theatre productions. Like, I want to do Message in a Bottle. I want to turn that into a ballet. So, my heart's pounding. I think I want to write an opera, which is ironic because opera, I'm not a fan, but I grew up with because of my dad, Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables and all that. So, if I can compose music for the Amber Rose, I can write an opera. And it's already sitting there. My opera is already sitting there. The Girl Who Saved Two Kingdoms. Because I was sitting there thinking, if I was going to do an opera, what sort of opera would I do? And I thought, okay, there's that kind of whole Romeo and Juliet thing. Making it a bit Midsummer Night's Dream sort of thing. I could make it sort of phantasmagorical. I could make it about starstruck lovers. I could make it about, and then I was thinking, what if it's two people who fell in love, a guy and a girl who fall in love, but it's not that they're from different class systems, it's that they're from different races, and their two races are at war. And I thought, well, a bit French Revolution, a bit kind of Les Miserables. But then I thought, Mulan, and then I thought, hang on a minute, The Girl Who Saved Two Kingdoms. That could 100% be an opera. I was going to call it Three Kingdoms, but I think The Girl Who Saved Two Kingdoms is better. My heart's pounding. I'm going to write an opera. When I get to where I'm going to sit down with, because we're going to be doing Night of the Black Sun and that anyway. So in my spare time, I'm going to have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies all at once. I'm going to be a very busy girl. But I'm going to write an opera. And then I'll have my opera singers and all of that. They can perform it all on stage. Some of my cabaret performers and that probably will be opera singers anyway, for my cabaret. But The Girl Who Saved Two Kingdoms could absolutely be an opera. But it means I'd be able to give it like a Persian feel. Because one of the kingdoms that she saves is a Persian kingdom. And I can just see it all in my head, like the backdrop, the stage, the musicians in the pit, the rehearsals, the opera singers, the props, all of it. We could absolutely turn The Girl Who Saved Two Kingdoms, or it could be The Girl Who Saved Two Kings, into an opera. They did Les Miserables and Phantom of the Opera in English, so it doesn't have to be like in German or Italian or anything like that. But it would be quite provocative. It would be quite a thought-provoking opera because it is basically about what's happening in Iran at the moment. I mean, it's not what gave me the idea, because I'd come up with the storyline months before all this stuff kicked off in Iran, but it's basically about two kings, two kingdoms at war with each other from two completely different cultures, who find out that the third kingdom, the lower kingdom, lied to them both in order to make them fight it out. And I came up with that storyline months ago, but it's kind of like it ended up becoming art imitating life, or life imitating art, whichever way you want to look at it. But it means that I'd be able to give the opera like a Persian feel, because at first I was thinking we could give it like a bit of a sort of Chinese, Asian-y sort of feel, but I'm Persian. And it means that because I've been looking at a lot of stuff on X to do with Persian buildings, like their houses and their stained glass and their mosques and all that, and it's like, can you imagine putting that onto a stage where all the kids in that have to build backdrops for the opera that look like the stuff that's on X, that's showing you how beautiful Persia is, their architecture and their design and all of that. Imagine all those beautiful colours in a theatre on stage in an opera with all the lights and that shining on it and just showing it how beautiful it is. And then the whole storyline being about the girl who wants to train to be she wants to be a knight. And so her father puts her through the training, but he makes it hard for her to do the training because he doesn't, or it's not that he doesn't think she's up to it, but it's like, okay, well, if you think you can be a knight, he sort of does it for his own amusement because he's bored, because there's nothing going on in his kingdom. And so when she says, I want to train to be a knight and blah, 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 he kind of uses her training as his entertainment, and he makes it harder for her. But because he makes it harder for her, when war does actually break out, she's faster and stronger and more agile in that than the actual knights and soldiers in that, because she had to, her training was harder. So in the bit in the movie, and which is why if you have a look on my Instagram, you'll see that I've got pictures up where I've got what have I got it tagged as? The Goblin King, the Shadowlands castle, and I think in some of them the Girl Who Saved Two Kings. But you'll see a lot of like castles with really high castle walls, like really high, on my vision board, because when it came time to making the movie, because I was going to do it like as an animation or something, but now if I'm doing it as an opera, I can show the set designers in that, because in the story, it needs to be a castle where it's considered unscalable. When I originally came up with the idea and posted it on my old Instagram, it was to do with the fact that, like with Edinburgh Castle, they say that it can't be scaled, that it's impossible to climb Edinburgh Castle. And so, and I wrote that into Lucian's Dragon, where it's impossible to scale the walls of the Shadowlands to get into Jeb's castle. It's too high, it's too flat, it's too this, it's too that. Lucian has to find a secret way of getting into the Shadowlands to have access to Jeb's castle. So I put that whole dynamic into the story of the Girl Who Saved Two Kings. I think I originally called it The Brave Sir Nitrous, and then I called it The Nitrous, or The Brave Nitrous. The Nitrous. But The Girl Who Saved Two Kings sounds so like an opera. Does it not already sound like an opera? It's like I planted these seeds and then they sit there and ferment a little, or, like they sit for a bit. And then when I come up with an idea, it's like, oh my God, I could use that. And that's literally, The Girl Who Saved Two Kings. Or I think The Girl Who Saved Two Kings sounds better than The Girl Who Saved Two Kingdoms. For an opera, anyway. So, she has to climb the castle walls. She has to get into the castle because the king, and because in the old days, in the medieval times, the reason why they had villages and that inside the kingdom, and had the kingdom walls and all that, was so that if there were any marauders or invaders, all the villagers could run to the safety of the king's castle, and then they'd pull up the moat and protect everyone. They do that in the movie. When she's out training, she finds out that her father and the kingdom have been captured, and her and the soldiers have to get in there, but they don't know how to get in there. And so she finds a way to get up the castle wall. So I'm guessing we'll have to have one of those moving walls. I was actually looking at some on X the other day. Those climbing walls, those people that do indoor climbing. There's one you can do now where the wall moves. So we would need to build something like that so that when the opera singer, she's going to have to be agile. When she's climbing it, it's going to have to make it look like she's climbing up the wall, but it's a moving wall. But we're going to have to build the set to make it look like she's climbing this massive wall. And because there's no way we can get up there, nobody's been able to scale those walls since it was built 300 years ago or whatever sort of thing. But because of her training, because they made her training harder, she finds a way up. But it means that she has to do some fighting single-handed, so it's kind of a bit Les Miserables. The opera singer, she's going to have some sort of sword that she does fighting with, so she's going to have to be quite agile. A bit of Milan sort of thing as well, bit of Milan, bit of Les Miserables. And then oh my God, I'm seeing that movie in my head, and for the life of me, I cannot remember it. With Yul Brynner, he was a king. He was a Siamese king. Oh my God. My father would kill me because he loved that movie, Yul Brynner. There'll probably be people out there screaming at me, it's blah, 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 blah. The King and the King and I. Duh. Sorry, Dad. The King and I. That whole kind of thing, but Persian. Have Brits and Persian. The British, like a British kind of Saxon or Norman Empire, and the Persian Empire. Not the Crusades. It's going to be totally fictional-ish. But, yeah. So The Girl Who Saved Two Kings. That literally sounds like an opera, doesn't it? And then it means that if any of the kids wanted to have a go at doing opera singing, or there are kids there to do opera, then it gives them something to do. And our theatre stuff, just like our cabaret stuff, is all stuff that needs to be written and produced in that at the same time as we're doing like the Amber Rose and I keep saying Vanta Black, Night of the Black Sun, and our version of Harry Potter, The First Sign, because that's completely got nothing to do with TV and movies, it's theatre. And then it means that people in the town can dress up well nice, and we can have all like the lights and that for any of the kids that want to learn how to do like theatre lighting and you know, testing out the mics and all of that, and then people can dress up well good and come and spend a night at the opera. And then after that, because if I can write a bloody opera, then I can do like a Shakespearean style play. Because I've fallen in love with Shakespeare. And we're going to be doing A Christmas Carol and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow every Halloween and Christmas in the theatre anyway. Give people a reason to come to the theatre. And it's going to be totally kid-friendly. How cool is that? Oh my God, my dad, if he was alive, I'd be ringing him now and say, Dad, guess what? I've got another one. Or I'd be ringing to talk to my mum about something, and I know my dad would be saying, what are you working on this time? And if I said to him an opera, I think he'd just be floored. When the band plays, my slapstick, pay my homage to Mel Brooks, slapstick, black and white movie comedy thing, he would have loved that as well. But doing an opera, because like Phantom of the Opera and Les Miserables or Les Miserables were his favourites. And, you know, like I grew up on Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and all the musicals and that. My father, that was his thing. He should have been a singer. I think in the ideal world, even though he was a drummer in a band and an incredible singer with a voice like Bing Crosby, I think deep down he wanted to do opera. And he would have been magnificent. He had that big chest and that like Luciano Pavarotti, and his favourite was Mario Lanza. That was his all-time favourite opera singer was Mario Lanza. But yeah, Pavarotti and Placido Domingo and Jose Carrera and all that. Like I grew up with him playing them in the background of, and what was that Greek guy? I can see him. See, that's bloody short-term memory loss from narcissistic abuse. Bloody hell. Oh, he was Greek. Big guy. I know people will be screaming at me. Yeah, so, oh, Dad, if you were alive. So we'll have to do a dedication for my dad on opening night. So he really, even though that man didn't play a massive role in my life because he was always away serving the military, protecting his queen and country, his beloved queen, I might add, and his beloved country, he taught me more than he realizes. He's pretty much behind about 90% of everything that I've written or created or developed for the foundation in terms of scripts and music and, you know, my unsolved mysteries. And yeah, he had a bigger influence on my life than I think he realised. So Oh my God, I'm going to do an opera. How exciting. I mean, if I can compose music for that's like Disney style music for an animated princess movie, then doing an opera in English isn't going to be so bloody hard, is it? So how exciting. So there we go. I'm trying to think of that Greek singer's name. When I remember it, I keep thinking it's Roussos. Demis Roussos? Demis Roussos, is it? Demis Roussos? Is that his name? Demis Roussos? Roussos? I'll have a look. Demis Roussos? He had beautiful voice. When my dad sung opera, he had that kind. Demis Roussos. It is Demis Roussos, isn't it? My dad's opera voice was just like that, because he could sing those Demis Roussos songs. God, I hope it's Demis Roussos. When he sung his songs, he sounded just like him. So there we go. So I'm going to write an opera. When I get to America, I'll sit down and write my opera. I'm going to have so much to do, but I'm going to love every minute of it. How exciting. Oh, my dad, I hope he'd be so proud of me. I'll have to put some of my Persian ancestors' names in there. Like Harun. So anyway, so there we go. I hope my Iranian ancestors are proud of me. So I'm going to go and have my kura. I'll speak to you later. I can't believe I'm going to write an opera. My dad would be so proud of me. Ka kite anō. Demis Roussos.